Welcome to Wallace on Wire. Today, we're talking about Anwar's recent display of dedication following a major international event.
Yeah, it was quite a moment, wasn't it? We're talking about the end of the 47th ASEAN Summit, after 3 solid days of just intense talks, negotiations,
A
everything.
real marathon.
Exactly. And then the prime minister posts this photo, just him looking absolutely wiped out, cleaning his glasses.
And that's the hook, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't some
yeah.
glossy PR handout photo. It was just raw, visible
Yeah.
exhaustion, no apologies. But instead of the usual cynicism, you got this huge wave of, well, support, real appreciation.
It really seemed to strike a chord.
So that's what we need to unpack. Why did this moment, this picture of him looking tired, resonate so much with Malaysians? And what does it maybe tell us about leadership today?
Well, I think part of it is authenticity, isn't it? In politics, everything's usually so managed, so controlled. This felt real, like a glimpse behind the curtain showing genuine effort.
The reaction was instant, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Huge numbers. People saying, yeah, he looks tired, but look, he's still there, still working. It was like this collective nod of respect. And it wasn't, manufactured engagement. The likes, the positive comments, it felt like genuine applause for the sheer effort involved.
Yeah, the volume of it was significant. It showed people recognized just how demanding hosting something like this is. They were basically saying, we see the work.
And you saw comments capturing that pride. Like, one person, Morsel Matt, pointed out the fatigue, but straight away linked it to national success. Said something like, organizing it was tough, but made for brilliant history.
Right, so people were making that direct link. His effort equals a win for the country.
Which brings us to the why. Why was he so exhausted? Let's look at the actual workload.
Okay, yeah, because analytically, that fatigue was completely justified. This wasn't just another meeting. The 47th ASEAN Summit was arguably the largest, most complex summit Malaysia's hosted recently.
You really have to understand the sheer scale of it.
You do. To grasp why he looked like that, you need to see the context, the political load, the logistics. It was unprecedented in many ways.
Just the guest list alone. I mean, Kuala Lumpur was definitely the center of attention.
Absolutely. Think about who was here. You had the U.S. President, Trump. You had China's Premier, Li Qiang.
2 heavyweights right there.
Exactly. And then Japan's first female prime minister, Takati Sanai. Plus, of course, all the leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations countries themselves.
Managing the dynamics between just the U.S. and China delegations must have been intense.
Monumental. The bilaterals, the security, the different agendas.
Yeah.
It's a massive diplomatic juggling act.
It almost sounds less like one summit and more like 5 crammed into one. Can you maybe break that down a bit? Like, what's the core Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit versus, say, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations +3? Why does adding China, Japan, South Korea make it so much more complex?
That's a great point. The core Association of Southeast Asian Nations meeting is mostly internal, focused on regional cooperation among the member states.
Right.
But the moment you get into the +1 meetings, or the +3, that's China, Japan, South Korea, you shift gears. You're moving into major global economic discussions, high-stakes stuff. The +3 especially is vital for regional economic stability investment.
Got it. And looking at the schedule, it was just relentless.
Yeah.
Packed between the 26th and 28th.
It really was a diplomatic sprint. You had the main Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit, yes.
Yeah.
Then the sessions with dialogue partners, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations +3 Summit we just mentioned, a key meeting with the United Nations too.
Okay.
But then you layer on top the meetings with really significant long-term consequences. That's where a lot of the pressure comes in.
You mean the more specialized ones?
Precisely. There was the Special Association of Southeast Asian Nations New Zealand Memorial Summit, 50 years of partnership, quite symbolic. But critically, there was the 5th Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement Leaders Meeting, RCEP.
Which is huge, right? The world's largest trade bloc.
By GDP, yes. Malaysia chairing that isn't just ceremonial. It means being central to discussions on future trade rules, tariffs, supply chains across Asia. And then you also had the 3rd Asian Zero Emission Community Leaders Meeting. So trying to coordinate complex trade policy in RCEP, push forward environmental goals in the Zero Emission meeting, while managing all the other summits and leaders. You can see why the exhaustion was so visible.
Hearing that list, no wonder he needed to wipe his glasses. It's like a geopolitical triathlon series.
It really is.
And this is where those public comments comparing it to the past become really interesting.
Exactly. It shows people weren't just reacting emotionally, they understood the scale. Someone called A.T. Tan apparently described the meeting as extremely demanding. using the term haoshen, which is like mentally or spiritually draining. And they made that historical point. Previous prime ministers in Malaysia hadn't really faced hosting over 20 world leaders simultaneously like this, not in such a tight time frame.
So that puts the load on Anwar into perspective. People weren't just seeing a tired leader, they were seeing someone handling a uniquely massive historic task, something maybe previous leaders hadn't encountered in quite the same way.
Absolutely. They saw performance under intense, maybe unprecedented pressure, successfully navigating all those competing interests, especially the big powers, takes serious skill.
Right.
And another comment from Modhasni Izawan highlighted the qualities people saw: composure, wisdom, focus.
So the fatigue wasn't seen as weakness, but almost as evidence of that focus.
Exactly. It feeds into that perception of him thinking deeply about the nation's future. The tiredness becomes almost like a badge of authenticity for the effort and the wisdom they perceived during those intense negotiations.
Okay, but let's bring this back down to earth for a second. Back to KL. Because pulling off an event like this requires a massive effort right here, domestically.
Oh, absolutely. The logistics involved were immense. It needed total national coordination. We're talking tens of thousands of personnel.
From where, mainly? Which parts of the government?
Well, you had huge input from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, obviously handling all the diplomatic protocols, the schedules, interpreters.
Sure.
Then the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, crucial for the RCEP and economic talks, providing that technical backup. And coordinating everything, the security, the logistics, making sure all the agencies work together. That fell heavily on the Prime Minister's department. It was a huge interagency effort.
And anyone who was actually in Kuala Lumpur during those few days definitely felt it. The road closures,
Yeah.
they were necessary, of course, for security, for moving all those heads of state and their delegations around, all the motorcade. But that local disruption, even if it was inconvenient, really underscored the scale of the undertaking needed to put Malaysia on that global stage.
It's a price of admission, I guess.
It is. And when the Prime Minister looks drained afterwards, it just confirms what everyone involved, from the ministries down to, the driver stuck in traffic, already knew. This was a monumental, all-consuming effort.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The 47th Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit was this diplomatic marathon. It put Malaysia center stage, hosting an unprecedented lineup of world leaders all at once, including some major global players. And that simple photo, the one showing the fatigue, it wasn't just a candid moment. It acted as this powerful, very human confirmation of the sheer effort involved in playing at that level. And the Malaysian public seemed to genuinely recognize and appreciate that effort as dedicated leadership. We've definitely covered the public reaction to the effort, but it does raise the next big question, doesn't it? Strategically speaking, what are the concrete long-term benefits Malaysia gets from pulling this off?
Right. What's the payoff?
Exactly. What tangible gains will we see down the line? Does this success give us more leverage in how RCE gets implemented? Does it boost momentum for those Asian zero-emission goals? That's the next chapter, really.
Powerful questions. And ones that, only time and future actions will really answer.
Indeed.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.